Hello everyone and welcome back to the plot. If you're new here, my name is Sarah and earlier this year I took on this allotment plot. Feel free to look back at my previous videos to see what's gone on the plot this year. Anyway, this week I've had a solid few days of work here and there's a lot to show you, so I'll roll that footage and I'll see you in a bit. My plan for this day was to clear 2 out of the 4 beds that are currently taken over by nasturtium, and as much as I love nasturtium, I think this situation is just a little bit out of hand now, and I can't imagine how many seeds have dropped and are gonna spring up again next year. So I thought it was about time just to start clearing these nasturtium up. There were actually a couple of pumpkins still here. They weren't completely destroyed by the squirrels, but I picked them and put them in the greenhouse, but noticed that the stalk area was really rotten. It's probably because of the amount of rain we've had, and I probably should have picked them a week or so earlier. But I do have a couple of pumpkins, which is good. I did also find 2 of the Futsu black pumpkins in amongst the nasturtium, but they weren't ripe. But I picked them anyway, and hopefully they will ripen at home. If not, they still look really cute and they're just going to be a nice decoration to have. Anyway, of course I didn't just stop at uncovering these 2 beds. I know it would have been nice to leave some of the nasturtiums a little longer, especially for any bugs or insects, but once I started I couldn't stop. So I ended up cutting back all of the nasturtiums. I can't not believe how well they have grown. Yeah, it still absolutely blows my mind, and I think I only planted about 4 of these nasturtium plants, and it's the fact that they've spread and just become so leafy and managed to take over pretty much a quarter of the plot is very impressive. Yeah, once I uncovered this part and got to the archway, I thought, you know what, I'm going to take this archway apart as well. So unfortunately I'm not going to be able to reuse it next year because it is so rusted and snapped, which is a shame, but it had a good 2 years of use in my garden before I brought it to the plot, and it was only a cheapy one anyway. I think they're both from Wilko. They're about £10 or £11, so they've had some good use, and I mean, it was very nice while it lasted. It's a shame that it fell over this year at the plot, but next year we will think of something else because I do really enjoy growing vertically. I really enjoyed having the red curry squash grow in like a little teepee. I don't think I'll do big pumpkins next year just because squirrels, but I would really like the archways at the plot, some archways at the plot next year, so that I can grow French beans, because I feel like it's so much easier to harvest and see your French beans when you're grown on an archway and they all kind of like hang down. Much easier to pick and much easier for me to reach. I found the French beans on the large teepee. I think the bamboo canes were 7 foot. Yeah, I think they were 7 foot. But anyway, they were too tall for me to reach. So next year, definitely bean archways lower to the ground so I can definitely reach them. So all of the nasturtium debris got put on the back compost heap. This is something I'm going to cover over once it's kind of completely full of all the plot debris. I'd really like to contain the back heap a little better, and I'd also love a 3-bay compost situation at the back of the plot, but I do need to do some serious weeding over winter, like removing the nettles. I think I'm gonna try and remove the comfrey as well, because that thing really takes over. I know it is nice to have comfrey on the plot, but maybe I can get like a really big bucket and grow it in the bucket. I don't know. I think the whole point of comfrey is that the roots go really deep and that's how it draws in all the nutrients, so maybe growing in a big bucket wouldn't really work, but yeah, not sure what to do about that. Anyway, yes, 3-bay compost system, definitely needed. I would really, really like to have that instead of Daleks. But I think once the back area is kind of like sorted, we'll see what we're working with, what the ground's like in that area. Maybe having compost bays there probably isn't the best idea just because of the amount of weeds, but it'd be really nice to have like a 3-bay compost area with a lid. Well, build something like that anyway. I think I need to source some pallets and then I can kind of build my own and make it the shape and size that I want. So things to think about. You've probably noticed my little robin friend is back. Don't know if it's the same one, obviously, but there are robins back hanging around with me and it's so cute. I absolutely love them. I love all the birds on the plot. Oh gosh, it's so exciting. So what I need to order like this week is one of those, I can't remember, I don't know what they're called, bird feeder poles that you hang your bird feeders on, and some have like a little dish and a little water bowl and stuff. So I need to get one of those because since the archway kind of collapsed, I haven't had my bird feeder out and I've not got anything to really hang my bird feeders on at the moment. So that is something I need to do. I need to sort out because I love having the birds around. Oh, it's so cute. I actually saw a jay up close and personal the other week. I've always seen them fly past the plot, like their little blue patch on their wings, but I've never seen them close enough to know or to understand how big they actually are, because they are huge. There was one having a bath in the water trough. I'll insert the footage of it because it was having such a nice time and its feathers were all fluffed out and I thought, that's a weird looking pigeon, but no, it was a jay. Yeah, so feeding the birds is very important this time of year and I need to stay on top of it. Actually, back to the comfrey situation. I think I will leave the comfrey in that spot at the back of the plot, but maybe build some kind of like a little fence around it or a little border around it just to contain it a little bit better, because I do think it's worth keeping it on the plot, and thinking about it, it doesn't really spread that much, especially if I'm picking it and harvesting the leaves and putting them in compost and stuff. I can definitely control that comfrey. I know I didn't really control it this year, but next year we'll be better with this kind of stuff. It's now time for the best bit, my favourite allotment activity, wood chipping. So I laid a little bit of cardboard down, but this area wasn't too weedy anyway. Yes, I was struggling to get the wheelbarrow over the edge of the plot. And these wood chips, they were so nice. Really, really good looking wood chips. I was enjoying this so much. I feel like the wood chips, they make such a difference to the plot. It just looks so much better and more put together, and like an allotment plot. So yeah, a lot of the wood chipping has now been done, and it's only the very back of the plot that needs doing. Everywhere else is wood chipped, looking really good, and I'm so happy with how things look. I also went over some of the edges and places that were like a little bit uneven, just to make the path a little bit more less bumpy. But yeah, it was so much fun wood chipping. It's so satisfying. But at this point I was getting quite tired, but I just wanted to finish the job. But the sun came out and it was a really nice couple of hours at the plot. And then finally I am putting manure on this one bed. I'm only putting manure down on the beds that I'm definitely not growing autumn crops in or on. So I'm going to plant some garlic soon. That is the main autumn winter crop I'm doing, and potentially shallots. I haven't found any sets yet, but I'm going to go on a trip to the garden centre next week or the week after and see if there are any shallot sets available. If not, oh well, I'll just be better at getting my autumn crops in next year. Okay, back at the plot. It is a lovely Saturday afternoon. The sun's just behind a tree at the moment, but when that comes around it's going to be boiling. Plan for today. So I think manure this bed and that bed, weed this one, and then manure that one as well. I also want to clear this patch, so weed all of this area and along there, and then wood chip it. So I've brought quite a bit of cardboard with me today, so hopefully that won't be too much of a big job. It's quite weedy, and there is quite a lot of bramble and nettle that's popped up. It's also rained quite a bit, so it's quite muddy as well. But there is a decking board running along here somewhere underneath the growth, which kind of marks the start of the path area. And I think there's also weed membrane still down like in a strip across here, so if I can find that, that'll be good. And obviously weed and cut this back. Yeah, and hopefully we'll have a bit more of the back area done today. So I guess we should get on with it. It's surprisingly very quiet here today. I thought there'd be a lot more people here because it is a Saturday and a really nice day, but I think what I'm going to do is grab do the manure on those 2 beds first while there is a wheelbarrow available, so let's go. Look at this pile. It's actually been raining quite a lot, so this stuff is heavy, so it's going to be quite an arm workout. So I'm just weeding this bed because there's quite a bit of mare's tail in there, and I found some bindweed too, but nothing too worrying. And then I needed to get rid of this sunflower stalk, but the stalk is literally like a tree trunk. It was so thick, so I had to saw it off. There is quite a stump left in the ground, but hopefully that will break down over autumn and winter. I do actually think that my favourite allotment garden tool is my rake, so I want to thank everyone who sent tips and donations over on Kofi, I think that's how you say it. So you guys have essentially bought me all my garden and allotment tools this year, all the compost, the extra wood and screws and bits and bobs. All of your donations have gone straight back into the plot, and you have bought me my favourite garden tool, the rake. I know most people are going to be like, why didn't you use a fork to deal with that manure, but I just prefer using the rake. On to the final job of the day, sorting out this little area. There is so much bindweed coming from the like underneath the pond. I think it's terrible. There's not really any in the ground right here where I'm working. It's just coming from the pond area, basically. The pond area is going to be such a big task. Oh gosh, I don't want to do it, but I will have to do it this autumn and winter, won't I? This whole the back of the plot is just going to be a really horrible job because I know there's still like junk and stuff in there, but at least we made a little dent in that area today, so yeah, small wins. Small wins. There's also a load of brambles coming through, and they're like rerouting in anywhere they can get into the soil, basically, which is a real pain. But yeah, this area is looking so much better already. I did also cut the comfrey back, and I wish I'd done this beforehand because I then could have laid the leaves in the beds and then put the manure on top. But I guess I could still lay the leaves on top of the beds, but I did put a good few bunches of comfrey leaves in the compost, the ones that weren't affected by bindweed anyway. Little pause for the little robin following me around again. So cute.
Oh, bye.
Anyway, I actually managed to move the fig tree. This was something that I definitely wanted to do because having the fig tree in the back of the plot it wasn't working, especially this year when things started to get overgrown. I just completely forgot about the fig tree. It was heavy. It was so heavy. Tracking that was hard, but hopefully now I can keep a little bit of an eye on it as it's closer to like the greenhouse and where I spend most of my time anyway. Laying down loads of pieces of cardboard. Good job I hoard packaging. I think I've been hoarding this stack of envelopes for over a year now, and I thought, you know what, I'm never going to use them, am I? It's better that they get used at the allotment instead of taking up space in my house. But anyway, this was also another little satisfying wood chipping moment. My absolute favourite thing to do. And yes, this little patch of the plot just looks so much better now, doesn't it? There's really not that much left to sort on the plot. Like, if you think about it, there's the pond area and then probably about a metre and a half worth of nettles and comfrey and junk to sort through. But yeah, and then the plot is essentially cleared and wood chipped, and come spring it's going to be so much easier to stay on top of getting crops in the ground and focusing on planting rather than clearing the whole plot. It's just I'm so happy. I can't wait for next year in spring. So excited. Wow, mission complete for today. We have 3 more beds cleared and manured. This area has been weeded and wood chipped, and I even moved the fig tree. I knew I wanted to move it somewhere, not sure where yet, but definitely down this area because I feel like it was definitely neglected in that space this year. So I've got to weed the pot, and there's bindweed wrapped around a couple of the branches, so yeah, we need to help this tree yet again. But oh my gosh, it looks so much better. This pile is probably stuff for the tip now. This archway is just beyond saving. It's rusted and snapped. The plastic mesh I might keep, but I don't like it. This back area, I think, well, I did mention there was a decking board, so I found the decking board. It's across here, you can kind of see it, and I think from this onwards I am going to have to put down plastic weed membrane because, yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of weeds in this back area, but at least this patch is done, and it just makes the back of the plot look a little bit better. So I also just picked some plum tomatoes, some paprikas. These have done so well this year. What I've been doing is sticking them all in the freezer after I picked them, and then when like the plants are done and I'm not going to get any more paprikas, I will defrost them and then dehydrate them, then make paprika powder, which will be very cool. I've actually managed to pick some beautiful peppers. I'm so happy with that. They look pretty good. So I've got 4 pointed peppers and 1. I think this is my one and only bell pepper. Next year we'll do better. definitely will do better. But yeah, not a bad little harvest for the end of October. And would you look at that? I'm so happy with how things are looking now. I think the wood chips, they just look so good, don't they? I love wood chips. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and do all those YouTube things. I will see you in the next one. Bye!